whenever you're ready, Prabhu.
Narottam Vilas Prabhu.
Krishna Sut. We're just waiting for some arrangements from the ISKCON Portland side. They're streaming in, so please forgive for the delay. Reaching out to you from Portland, Oregon. Early, let's share something with us, and we thank you very much for joining us and delivering the Sunday feast. But still, I guess through the wonders of Zoom, we're able to hear you almost very close to us at this point, not halfway across the country. But most of our devotees are well aware of Prabhuji and his lectures and following the lectures on the Prabhuji's YouTube channel. I'm embarrassed to keep it on the mic. But Prabhuji is a disciple of this community lectures and one thing I was mentioning before I had is something that's very impressive and a very complex topic that makes sense about that. And explain that it's a very straightforward, understandable matter. That's really a great gift. So without further ado, I think since there's technology issues, let's just hear from Prabhuji rather than myself. The grace of Amarendra Prabhuji ki Jai! Srila Prabhupada ki Jai! Jai Shashinandan Prabhu. Jai Thank you, dear Jai Shashinandan Prabhu. Is my voice audible? Dear Jai Shashinandan Prabhu, is my voice audible? Kirtans can go out.
Yes,
Is the voice audible? Dear Jai Shashinandan Prabhu, I'm very grateful for your very kind words. Please forgive me from the bottom of my heart that I couldn't make it in person to Portland. It was my desire to, but as Jesus says in the Bible, the spirit is willing but the flesh is weak. So it was certainly my desire to be there, but as you rightly termed, by the wonders of technology, I'm very happy to be associated with all of you this morning, and hopefully in the future, very soon, we will have the opportunity to come in person and serve your community headed by Shri Gaur Nitai. I remember last time being there, I've had the good fortune of being there I think only once, and the deities are Gaur Nitai on the altar. I remember doing Kirtan in front of them, and it was quite an interesting experience. I carry that in my heart. So thank you so much all the devotees of ISKCON Portland for being so kind and considerate on this soul. And once again, please accept my heartfelt apologies for not being able to be there today in person. Just before we begin, just a final sound check. Is my voice audible before we get started? Can the devotees there confirm? Okay. Also, for the devotees who are joining us live here at very wonderful residence of Chaitanya Sundar Prabhu and Jai Shri Mataji, thank you so much for having us, opening the doors of your home, opening the doors of your heart for all the wonderful Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis this morning. We feel very, very honored and privileged because that tongue which is not serving the Supreme Lord In Bhagavatam describes that tongue is asati, is unchaste. So all of you are contributing in making my tongue chaste by offering it in the service of Shri Krishna, Radha Nila Madhava. So thank you for kindly joining me. Vancha kalpatrubhyascha kripa sindhubhya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. 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 Om Ajnanatimirandhasya. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya. Jnananjana Shalakaya. Chakshurunmilitam yena. Chakshurunmilitam yena. Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam. Sthapitam yena bhutale. Sthapitam yena bhutale. Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam. Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam. Dadati Swapadantikam. Dadati Swapadantikam. Namo Vishnu Padaya. Namo Vishnu Padaya. Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale. Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale. Srimate Bhakti Vedanta. Srimate Bhakti Vedanta. Swaminiti Namine. Swaminiti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve. Namaste Saraswate Deve. Gauravani Pracharine. Gauravani Pracharine. Nirvishesha Shunyavadi. Nirvishesha Shunyavadi. Paschatya Deshatarine. Paschatya Deshatarine. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya. Prabhu Nityananda. Prabhu Nityananda. Shri Advaita Gadadhara. Shri Advaita Gadadhara. Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktavrinda. Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktavrinda. Hare Krishna Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna Hare Krishna. Krishna Krishna Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama Hare Rama. Hare Rama Hare Rama. Rama Rama Hare Hare. Rama Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna Hare Krishna. Krishna Krishna Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama Hare Rama. Hare Rama Hare Rama. Rama Rama Hare Hare. Rama Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna Hare Krishna. Krishna Krishna Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama Hare Rama. Hare Rama Hare Rama. Rama Rama Hare Hare. Rama Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. I think for some Matajis here the sun is on their face. Can something be done? Vitamin D?
I think it's for the top.
Until the sun sets.
Oh,
In Seattle. They can go. You have top one or coming from the top one.
Okay.
top one can.
That we can do. It's a layer of it. Effulgence.
Now let's focus on the effulgence on the face of the Lord.
Exactly. That's it. Sripad Ramanujacharya, one of the stalwart Mahabhagavat Vaishnavacharyas, who appeared in the Sri Sampradaya 1000 years ago. There have been so many acharyas who have come in the line, but the Sampradaya still remains to be a Ramanujacharya-centric Sampradaya for the contributions that Sripad Ramanujacharya offered. Couple of 100 years after, in the same sampradaya came a very great acharya by the name Sripad Vedanta Desika. Sripad Vedanta Desikar was such a great Vaishnava acharya. He has written works in Sanskrit and in Tamil. In one such work, Sripad Vedanta Desikar, he glorifies Sriman Narayana. He glorifies Mahavishnu. We are aware of the glories of Mahavishnu, aren't we? Something? Very little. How much ever we know, it's always very little. Because his glories are unlimited. Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami Pad says, how glorious is the Supreme Lord. He says that it is possible to break Mount Meru with our forehead. And it is possible to hold the sun in one hand and moon in the other. But it is not possible to glorify the Supreme Lord as much as how glorious He is. You can never glorify Him enough. Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami also says, it's possible to count the snowflakes or the raindrops. It's possible to count the number of atoms on earth. It is possible the number of stars. It is even possible to count the number of ants. But it is not possible to count the number of qualities that the Supreme Personality of God, Sriman Narayana, holds. Sri Vishnu. Mukti pradata sarvesham Vishnur eva na samshaya. Shastra describes there is no one who can give mukti or liberation from all pains and all calamities. There's only one name, and his name is Sri Hari, Vishnu, Narayana. Of all the songs that the Sri Vaishnava Acharyas have written, you can see the prominence is found in the glories of Lakshmi Narayana. There could be different aspects of glorification of Sri Ram also, Sri Krishna also. But the glories of Narayana that have been sung and the prominence of the worship of Ranganath in the Sampradaya is profound. So Vedanta Desikar writes that Mahavishnu is very beautiful. Very, very, very beautiful. He says that anyone who has darshan once of the form of Mahavishnu, they will spit at the thought of enjoying anything materially. Even Yamunacharya has written the same thing. Yadavadi mama Krishna chetapadarvinda navanavarasadhamanyudyatam rantumasi. That as soon as the thought of the form of Mahavishnu comes in my heart, Yamunacharya, the spiritual master of Sripad Ramanujacharya, he writes, the thought of enjoying this world becomes so disgusting that my lips curl inwards and I spit at the thought of enjoying this world independent of the Lord. Vedanta Desikar writes that Mahavishnu's form is so beautiful that his face puts to shame millions and trillions and quadrillions of effulgence of the moon. That's how beautiful the face of Mahavishnu is. Vedanta Desikar, after seeing the form, has written, it's not poetic imagination. The difference between the poetry of this world and the poetry of the Acharyas is that this is imagination, what we write. It's the exercise, the gymnastics of mental faculty. But when pure Vaishnavas write, they see and then they write. How do we know this? How do we know this? Because Srimad Bhagavatam describes in the first canto, how did Vyasadeva reveal everything in the Srimad Bhagavatam? Because Samadhi. It was seen in his level of trance, in the heart. Chakre Satvata Samvita. Whatever he saw, he wrote. Even Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur's Gaur Arti that we sing. What do we sing in the last line? Kiva Shiva Shukanarada Preme Gada Gada. How do we know this? That Shiva and Shuka and Narada are watching Mahaprabhu? Bhakati Vinoda Dekhe Gaurara Sampada Bhaktivinoda Thakur is saying, Dekhe, I am seeing the arati of Mahaprabhu performed by Shukadev Goswami, by Shiva, by Narada, and they are all ecstatically choking and horripilating. Bhaktivinoda Thakur is not writing his kalpana. It's not his imagination. Dekhe, after seeing the Lord, he's writing. And therefore, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, when he was asked in Bhaktivinoda Vani Vaibhav, there's a very nice compilation book of questions and answers. You ask question to Bhaktivinoda Thakur and he answers. It's a whole book, part 1, part 2, part 3, on Sambandha, Abhidaya and Prayojan. For those who don't have that book, you can purchase that book. It's a very nice 3-part on Bhaktivinoda Vani Vaibhav. Just like we have Bhakti Siddhanta Vaibhava, a beautiful work by Srila Bhakti Vikas Maharaj. This Bhaktivinoda Vani Vaibhav is a compilation of questions and answers asked and answered by Bhaktivinoda Thakur. So in that, there's one question. How do we know our life is successful? You see, some say when I become a multi-millionaire, I'm successful. When I become famous, I'm successful. When I so many XYZ. When Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur was asked, what is the definition of success? Safalta. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur answers, that day you know your life is successful when you have darshan of Krishna with your eye. When you can see Krishna's form with your eye, Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, that day understand your birth in this human form has become successful. Bhaktivinoda Thakur writes, please everyone chant. Janama safalatar, Janama safalatar, Krishna darshan jar, Krishna darshan jar, Bhagya hui, yache ek baar, Bhagya hui yache ek baar, Bhagya hui yache ek baar. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, Janma safalatar, that person's life is successful, safal. Whose life? Krishna darshan jar, Bhagya hui yache ek baar. If you can have darshan of Krishna once with your eyes, oh, that day understand your birth has become successful, Bhaktivinoda Thakur says. But now the next question will be, if you have darshan of Krishna, what will happen? What will happen to the heart? So Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, Vikasiya Ridnayane, Vikasiya Ridnayane, Kori Krishna darshane, Kori Krishna darshane, Chhade ji chitte ravikar, Chhade ji chitte ravikar. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, as soon as you have darshan of Krishna, Vikasiya Ridnayane, the lotus of your heart will open. And the lotus of your eyes will also open. Ridnayan. Heart will open in joy, eyes will open in excitement, looking at the form. Vikas means opening up. Vikasiya Ridnayane, the lotus of the heart and the lotus of the eyes of the devotee both blossom. Kori Krishna darshane, having darshan of Krishna, that my Lord, till now I had only heard about you. Till now I had only read about you. Till now I only chanted your names and worshipped your deity form. Till now I only thought in Vrindavan you live. But now I am actually having your darshan. In front of my eyes I can see this threefold bending form. Very, very beautiful, self-effulgent, blue sapphire, touchstone-like complexion. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, Janama safalatar, Krishna darshana jar, bhagya hui ache ekbar. That day we must understand life is successful. Which day? When we can have darshan of Krishna, how many times? Ekbar, just once. And when we have darshan of Krishna, Vikasiya Ridnayane, the lotus of the heart will open. Kori Krishna darshane, Chhade jeev chitte ravikar, vikar, Chhade jeev chitte ravikar, Janama safalatar, Krishna darshan jar, Bhagya hui ache ek baar, Vikasiya Ridnayane, Kori Krishna darshane, Chhade jeev chitte ravikar. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, when we have darshan of Krishna, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, When we have darshan of Krishna once, then the lotus of the heart opens and the lotus of the eyes open in excitement. And the living entity stands with folded palms telling the Lord that, my Lord, for so many lifetimes I have been in this world without you. Now, Swamin Kritarthosmi Varam Nayache. I don't want anything. Now that you have appeared before me, please accept me and take me back home, back to Godhead. So, what we were trying to say is that please forgive napkin. So what we were trying to say, that our pure Vaishnava Acharyas, our Acharyas, they see Krishna and they speak. After having darshan, they speak. It's not poetry. So Vedanta Desikar, in his very beautiful work, he writes that Mahavishnu is very beautiful. He's very beautiful. He says that the face of Mahavishnu is as effulgent as millions and millions of moons. So I'm going to ask you a few questions. How is the face like? Millions and millions of moons. So where there is moon, there must be sun? Yes? So Vedanta Desikar says, on the head of Mahavishnu, there's a beautiful crown. And the effulgence of that crown is like millions and millions of suns. The crown is like millions of suns, and the face is like millions of moons. And when they come together, there's the sky. And that dark sky are the locks of hair on the body of Mahavishnu up to the shoulder. Very beautiful curls of soft black curly hair. Says the face of the Lord is like millions of moons, and the crown on the head of the Lord is like millions of suns. And the locks of soft black hair represents the dark sky. But then he says, now when you think it's getting beautiful, he says this is just the beginning. Because in this world you can see that the moon is far away from the lotus. But on the face of the Lord, the face is the moon and the eyes are the lotus. The two lotuses are stuck on the moon of the Lord's face. How beautiful. But he says, these lotuses are very interesting. They're always looking at the devotees and opening up in excitement. Because the devotees of Mahavishnu, like Jaya and Vijay, they stand with so much love and they stand with so much adoration of the Lord that the eyes open. You see, Venkateshwara in Tirupati always has his eyes closed. But when he sees his devotees worshipping him so nicely, his eyes opens. So Vedanta Desikar writes, on the moon of the Lord's face, on the top, is the dazzling effulgent crown, which is like millions of suns. The locks of soft black curly hair are like the dark sky. But on the moon of the Lord's face are two lotuses, which are ever expanding, looking at the love of the devotees. But so that they don't expand beyond a certain limit, you must have some boundary. Right? So the boundary are the eyebrows. Just to make sure that Vedanta Desikar has written about Mahavishnu, the four-handed form of the Lord. And he says that the lotuses of the Lord's eyes, they keep opening, and there are bangs in the form of the eyebrows, just to stop. Also he says, when the Supreme Lord thinks of the devotee, he weeps. So tears may come from his eyes. Vedanta Desikar writes, isn't this quite fascinating? Because in this world you can see lotus comes from water. But in the Lord's eyes, water is coming from the lotus. How beautiful. How beautiful. Then he says, only when you thought it is over, it is beginning. He says, now, there's a beautiful waterfall. And what is the waterfall? He says the waterfall is that of beauty. Beauty. There's a beauty waterfall, which is going from the crown up to the chest, which means this place is very beautiful. It's a poetic way of saying. So he says, just like where there's the sun and the moon, it seems like from a distance the waterfall is coming from there to the ground. So the chest is like the ground of the Lord as he's resting. And from the crown of the sky, or the head, which is dazzling like millions of suns, the waterfall of beauty is splashing on the ground of his chest. Is everyone listening? Yes. But when there's a waterfall splash, what happens? What will happen? Let's say there's waterfall, and behind that there's sun. Rainbow. So what's happening is, this is the sun, this is the ground, and there's a waterfall of joy and beauty on up to the chest. Vedanta Desika writes, on the waterfall of this water beauty, splitting through that is the rays of the sun of the crown, which causes multicolored beads in the necklace on the chest. Those are the multicolors formed by the sun rays of the crown splitting through the water splashing waterfall of beauty. Is everyone understanding?
Yes.
Okay, quick question. What is the sun?
The crown.
The moon?
The face.
Lotuses?
Eyes.
What are the eyebrows doing? They are the boundaries. Very good. The night sky?
Hair.
Waterfall of beauty.
Head to chest. Crown to chest.
The waterfall is the beauty. So waterfall of beauty is the question and the answer. Then when the sun rays of the crown splits through the waterfall, what happens? Different colors. And those are the multicolor beads in the necklace. Very nice, beautiful. Then Vedanta Desik, thank you Tejo, very attentive. Thank you. And Vibha also, thank you. They are sitting like Jai and Vijay. Guarding the narration of Vishnu Katha. Thank you. Then Vedanta Desikar says, this waterfall of beauty is unlimited. It's unlimited. So when you have unlimited gushing waterfall, what happens? It starts to flow. And it's flowing. And it's flowing. And it's flowing. But when it's uncontrolled, it becomes a flood. Right? But when it's controlled, you can see it forms a river. So what's happening? The gushing waterfall of beauty is falling on the chest, and it can create a flood. Therefore, what happens is you need banks to support it, and those are the hips. Just making sure on both sides, very beautiful curving hips of Mahavishnu, they're making sure that the waterfall beauty is properly channeled. But now when there's a lot of gushing force and there is some boundary, then what happens? It leads to a whirlpool, and that's the navel. How beautiful. Who will say that their mind cannot be attached to the Supreme Lord by hearing about Him? Right? Shravanam is the first limb of bhakti. It is the fastest limb of bhakti. It's possible you may chant japa, but the mind may go somewhere. But when you hear Krishna Katha, Krishna's entering through the ear hole, both ear holes. The gopis there in Vrindavan, they are saying, don't come into our home, the motherly gopis. They're making butter and saying, don't come. And what is he doing? Jumping through all windows and breaking. And when people, actually, Rupa Goswami writes this, Yadyapi samadhishu vidirapi pashyati natoi nakhagra marichim idamichami nishamyata vachuta tadapi kripadhuta vichim. Rupa Goswami Pad writes, Krishna, seems like you are very sadistic. You have sadistic pleasure. Why? Yadyapi samadhishu vidhirapi pashyati. Brahma is sitting in meditation, 311 trillion, 40 billion years, saying, my Lord, please come in my consciousness, please come. And you're not coming. Yadyapi samadhishu vidhirapi pashyati na. Although Vidhi, Brahma is sitting in meditation and calling, my Lord, please come. Swagatam, swagatam, suswagatam, idam asanam. He's giving asana in his heart. But the Lord is not coming. And the motherly gopis who are churning butter saying, don't come. And he's breaking through windows and coming. So Rupa Goswami says, Krishna, seems like you're very sadistic. Whatever the person wants, you'll do exact opposite. Brahma is saying, please come into my heart, you're not going. But the motherly gopis, they're churning and saying, Krishna, don't come, this is for our children. Just to increase Krishna's pleasure. At that time, Krishna is breaking through and stealing. So we were mentioning this because the Lord, He will do exactly what is the opposite of what is the desire. So our desire, we want to enjoy this world. But at the same time, we are hearing little Krishna Katha. So what the Lord is doing? He is entering. to bow to your rules. We are saying, no, I want to enjoy this world. He says, no, I will enter and clean your heart. And those pure Vaishnavas, they saying, Krishna, please come, please come, please come. Krishna is not appearing and increasing their separation. Viraha Vedana it is called. The pain of separation. So, quick recap. What is the crown like?
Millions of suns have fulfilled.
Where is the like? The face. The eyebrows.
Boundaries.
The eyes.
Lotus.
The beads.
Rainbow.
The waterfall.
Beauty.
The chest.
The crown.
So when this is hitting the ground, the gushing current of beauty has to be protected by the two banks.
Hips.
Those are the hips. And as a result, because of the gushing current, the Lord looks very beautiful. Because of the gushing current, the Lord looks very beautiful. And now, Samarth, what happens after that? Because the current is going with so much intensity, the eyes are looking like? Lotuses. Even if the current is not going, still the eye looks like lotus. And when the current is caught by the two banks, then there's a whirlpool called as? The navel. Then Vedanta Desikar says, now iha bahi age kaho ar. Let's move ahead. He says the thighs of the Lord. He says they are like the branches of the wish-fulfilling trees of heaven. Let's think about it. They are like the branches of the wish-fulfilling trees of heaven. Why? Because wish-fulfilling tree means if you sit under it, whatever your desires will come true. So Vedanta Desikar says when the devotee goes and sits on the lap of the Lord, like Prahlad, like Dhruva, like Lakshmi, all their desires are fulfilled. Prahlad Maharaj goes and sits on the lap of Nrsimhadev and all his desires are fulfilled. So the thigh or the lap of Mahavishnu is actually a wish-fulfilling desire tree. You go and sit there and you make a wish, a kamana, it comes true. Then he says, moving forward is the lotus feet of the Lord. Vedanta Desikar says the lotus feet of the Lord are like oceans of honey. What are they like?
Oceans of honey.
They are like oceans of honey. Thick honey. And what are the toenails like? Moons. What happens to an ocean when it's under the gravitational pull of the moon? There are tides, high tides. So Vedanta Desikar says the sole of the feet of Mahavishnu, it has small lines. But because it's an ocean of honey, and these are the moons, by the gravitational pull of the moon of the toenails, this ocean of honey has little tides, but being attracted, the lines become big at the sole of the feet. So the tall lines in the sole of Mahavishnu's feet are like the tides that are caused in the ocean of honey, being attracted by the gravitational pull of the moon, which is toenails. Very beautiful. Then he says, now what's fascinating? He says, from the eye, water is coming. Although in this world, lotus comes from the water, but for the eye of the Lord, water is coming from the lotus of the eye. But feet is not like that. From the feet, water doesn't come, Ganga comes. He says, from the eye, the tears come, but from the feet, Ganga comes. So that's also another contradiction. Because in this world, you can see, from Ganga, lotus comes. But there, from the feet, Ganga is coming. So much so that is what Lord Shiva wants to hold on his head. One time, there was a big controversy in the house of Lord Shiva. Amba kupyati, tata murni nihata, gangeya mutsrujyatam. Kavi Kula Guru Kalidas has written this verse. You see, during those times, there used to be a competition called as Samasya Purti. Samasya Purti means, in Sanskrit, the fourth line will be given, and the poet has to write the first three lines. So the kings had very good poets in the court, and the poets would challenge each other for the entertainment of the king. So when Kalidas came, who was the king among poets, they gave him many verses, and one after another, he won all those contests. Then finally the king got up and he said, now I have a challenge for you. What is the challenge? He said the word ocean, 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 ocean 6 times. That's the 4th line. But he said it in Sanskrit. Ambodhi, Jaladi, Payodhi, Rudadhi, Varanidhi, Varidhi. All mean ocean. Ambodhi, Jaladi, Payodhi, Udadhi, Varanidhi, Varidhi. So the king said, Ambodhi, Jaladhi, Payodhi, Rudadhi, Varanidhi, Varidhi. Now you write a verse on this. Ocean, 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 ocean. No meaning. So in no time, Kavikula Guru Kalidas wrote this verse. Amba kupyati tata murdini hata gangeyam utsrujyatam. That one time in the house of Lord Shiva, there was a big controversy. What was the controversy? Kartikeya, the son of Lord Shiva, he went to Lord Shiva. Was everyone attentive? Okay. Kartikeya went to Lord Shiva. The father is Lord Shiva. Kartikeya is the son. So the son went to the father and said, Amba kupyati. Mother is very angry. Lord Shiva said, with whom? With you or with me? Because dynamics change. If it is with you, then I will take sides with her. But if it's against me, you take sides with me. Amba kupyati. Oh, mother is very angry. Mother Parvati is very angry, said Kartikeya. So the father asked, Lord Shiva asked, why? So Kartikeya said, Gangeyam utsrujyatam, because you have another woman on your head. Ganga. Every house has only one husband and one wife. But this home is interesting because there's one husband and one wife, but there's another woman on your head. Just like in Hindi they say, sir pe chad ke baithna, which means to sit on someone's head, to control them. So Kartikeya said, mother is very angry because there's another woman who's controlling your life, and that is Ganga on the head. So Lord Shiva said, so what do you want me to do? Kartikeya said, let her go. So Lord Shiva said, oh, she's taking shelter of my head and she's shelterless. She was coming from the feet of the Lord and I gave her shelter on my head. Now if I tell her to leave, I have to arrange another home. You know, if someone takes shelter of your home, you can't just ask them to leave unless they have another place to be in. Right? It's not ethical and not logical and heartless to do that. So Kartikeya said, no, you have to ask her to leave, only then Mother Parvati will be happy. So Lord Shiva said, this is a big problem because unless she has another home, how can I tell her to leave? So Kartikeya said, no, that's not your problem. You just let her go. So Lord Shiva said, where will I ask her to go? So Kartikeya has a name called Shanmukh because he has 6 faces. So from all of his 6 mouths, he said ocean, 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 ocean. Ambodhi, Jaladi, Udadi, Varanidhi, Varidhi. He said the 6 names of the ocean from 6 mouths, telling his father, you don't worry about where Ganga has to go, she will go to the ocean, 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 ocean. So the controversy that the king had, the problem that he had, composed a verse with 6 oceans in the end, was very beautifully solved. The verse has reached its success when Damodar Prasad Prabhu gave a jai to it. So Vedanta Desikar, back to the story. The face is like the crown, millions of moons, billions of moons, trillions of moons, quadrillions of moons, like many moons. What is the crown like?
Millions of suns.
Millions of suns. Millions and billions of suns. What is the hair like? The sky. What is the eyebrow like? What is the lotus like? The eyes are like lotus. Okay. The waterfall of?
Beauty.
On the chest, which is like?
Ground.
Then when the waterfall is going from the crown to the ground, quite poetic. The rays of the sun coming from the effulgence of the crown splits through that waterfall and causes multiple colored beads in the necklace. And this beautiful gushing current of the beauty is held by the banks called as the hips. And because of this gushing current, it forms the whirlpool called the navel. Then the thighs of the Lord are wish-fulfilling desire tree, because all the devotees who sit on them, they have their desires fulfilled. Such a beautiful meditation. The feet of the Lord are compared to oceans of honey. The toenails are compared to moons. And the lines in the feet are actually small. Okay, listen to this. The lines on the sole of the feet are like small ripples. But being attracted by the gravitational pull of the moon, it causes now tides. It causes tides. And from this ocean of honey comes Ganga, who is held on the head by
Shiva.
whom the sun asked to release to the You know, in Indian daily soap, television serial, you can see if there's some melodrama, some dramatic scene going on, they will say it 3 times. Kya? 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 The same thing. What? They'll replay it 3 times for better effect. But Kartikeya did twice of that. Ocean. 6 times. Then Vedanta Desikar says, this honey nectar ocean, the Lord's feet, is pressed by the lotuses of Lakshmi's hand or palms. He says Lakshmi Devi is a garden of lotus flowers. Ishanam jagatosya venkatapate Vishnu param preyasim tadvakshasthala nityavasarasikam tadkshanti samvardinim padmalankrita pani pallava yugam padmasanastam shriyam vatsalyadi gunojvalam bhagavati vande jaganmataram. In another place, I said the same verse. This is from Venkateshwara Suprabhata. I said the same thing in an ISKCON style. Ishanam jagatosya venkatapate Vishnu param preyasim. Everybody was looking. Is this from Bhagavatam? Where is this from? I said, you know this verse. Then, Padmalankrita parni pallava yugam padmasanastam shriyam vatsalyadi gunojvalam bhagavati. Nobody could recognize. They were just singing. And the assembly was dominated by Telugus. They know the Venkateshwara. Of course, it was in America. Yeah, correct. It was in America with a lot of Telugus. Yeah. Was it in America? Yes, it was in America. So, many Andhra speaking, Telugu speaking devotees. So I said, you all know this verse. You said, we haven't heard. Then I said, let's do the MS Subbalakshmi style. Kamala kujajujugakum. And then when I came to Ishanam Jagatos, hair was standing on end, voice was choking, tears were coming. Everyone's horripilating. Vatsalyadi gunojvalam bhagavati vande jaganmatharam. Ajnanina maya doshan adeshan vidishan hare. Kshamatvatvam kshamastvatvam shesha shaila shikamani. Seems like we went from Sri Rangam to Tirupati. A span of like this. So it is described that Lakshmi Devi is actually a beautiful garden of lotus flowers. Her palms are lotus. Her feet are lotus. Her face is lotus. Her eyes are lotus. She sits in the Padmasana, which is lotus position. And she sits on a lotus. And in her lotus palms, she holds a lotus. And when she does seva also, she massages the lotuses of the Lord's feet, which are like nectar oceans. Did you all like this description?
Yes.
The description is just beginning. Vedanta Desikar says, from the whirlpool of the navel, to add more exciting details, he says, it's quite fascinating that waterfall of beauty which is gushing between the banks of the hips, which is causing the whirlpool of the navel, from that whirlpool of the navel comes a lotus flower, on which there is one personality who is the creator of the whole universe. Brahma ji ki jai. Imagine. Recently I was talking to somebody and they were talking about a concept called as inner engineering. So then I told them that actually even in our culture it is inner engineering only, because the greatest engineer of this universe was born from inner, from the womb, from the navel of Mahavishnu. So he's the inner engineer who's doing inner engineering, the inside engineering of this world. Now Vedanta Desikar says, this Brahmaji who is appearing from the lotus of the whirlpool of the navel of the Lord, he is having some respiratory problem. Why? Because there is a constant problem. What is the constant problem? Before that, Let's create some suspense and come back to it. Vedanta Desikar says, the chest of the Lord is like a very hard closet. Do you accept that the chest of the Lord is very hard? It must be very soft, right? Vedanta Desikar says, when Bhrigu came and kicked the chest of the Lord, Mahavishnu said, my heart is very hard. But you're a Brahmana, your feet are very soft. Let me massage your feet. That was the humility of the Lord. Don't believe the Lord. His heart is very soft. In humility, he's saying, I'm very hard-hearted. Actually, his heart is very soft. But Vedanta Desikar says, the heart has Lakshmi. She is the jewel. And therefore, the chest is like the closet which is protecting that jewel. Therefore, it is hard. In this way, we can understand. The jewel of bhakti or Lakshmi, the Srivatsa mark, is the softness. It is described that Lakshmi Devi, by sitting on the chest of the Lord, she is increasing and decreasing the thermostat. She is managing the compassion of the Lord. How do we know this? Tad vakshasthala nitya vasa rasikam tad kshanti samvardhini. She is increasing the tolerance of Mahavishnu by sitting on the chest in the form of the Srivatsa mark. Lakshmi eternally resides in the heart of the Lord. It is described that the humility of Lakshmi is so much that the Lord gives her position in the heart. But she says, my position is at the feet. And she comes massaging the feet. So still to keep her, to mark her position, the Lord keeps a golden hair on the chest, representing this is the place of Lakshmi. You see, when you go to Mumbai, it's very crowded. Very, very crowded. I grew up there. So if you're trying to catch a bus, it's like there is some prerequisite preparation before that. Like you have to be at the right place at the right time. And all the bags that you have behind, you have to put it ahead. Because you can use the pressure of your laptop bag to push people to get inside the bus. Huh? There are some people who are very, very clever. These people others are jumping in and trying to fight for a spot. But then there are those who from outside the window, they put their handkerchief inside. And they make sure that the handkerchief falls on the seat. Then they will comfortably enter. And when someone is already sitting there, they will say, you can see that's my place. They will say, I sat here first. Even before you sat, my handkerchief is there. And that person will say, there is a handkerchief. It's like a eureka moment. Oh, okay, this is your spot. Although that person hasn't reached there, he has a little handkerchief to represent his spot. So when I think of that situation, I remember how Lakshmi Devi's position is actually on the seat of the heart. But she's at the feet. Therefore, what the Lord does, like a little handkerchief, keeps a Srivatsa mark, a golden hair, representing that this seat is already reserved for Lakshmi. To protect that, the Lord has the heart closet of his chest. But it's not sufficient to just keep something valuable in a closet. You also need gods to protect it. So Vedanta Desikar says on one side is the chakra. And the other side there is a conch. To announce the start of the war and to destroy the demon. Anyone who comes to touch the Srivatsa mark, the wealth of bhakti in the heart, there are two gods. Not just two gods. Mahavishnu has kept four gods. Sashankha chakram sakirita kundalam sapita vastram sarasi ruhekshanam sahara vakshasthala shobhi kaustubam namami vishnum shirasa chaturbhujam, four-handed form. The conch, the chakra, the club, and the lotus flower. How many gods does Mahavishnu keep for himself? Two. Jai Vijay. But how many for protecting Lakshmi? Four. And in Ram Leela, Jai and Vijay, who are supposed to protect Sita, themselves come as Ravana and kidnap Mother Sita. Ram is that Mahavishnu. Jai and Vijay come as Ravana and Kumbhakarna. And that Lakshmi, who is supposed to be protected by them, is kidnapped by that same Ravana. And Sri Ramachandra is going from place to place. Guru Varthe Tyakta Rajyo Vyacharad Anuvanam Padma Padbhyam Priyayam Pani sparsha kshamabhyam mrijita patharujo yo harindranujabhyam vairupya churpanakya priya viraharusha bhrubito brovijimba trastabdir baddha setu khaladavadahano kosalendo vatannaha. Let's not get into Ramayana. If you want to be happy in this world, please don't speak about Sri Ram. Why? Because he will kidnap your heart with his pastimes. And then you will not be happy in this world because your desire to meet him will increase. Actually, Sri Ramachandra's Leelas are breathtakingly beautiful. Breathtakingly beautiful because in every pastime you can see that the jivas are suffering and the Lord comes to uplift them. But Ramayana is the only pastime where the Lord comes and takes help of the jivas to relieve his suffering. To relieve his suffering. So what does this verse that we just chanted mean? Guru Arthe Tyakta Rajyo. Just because his parents asked, Kaikeyi asked and Dasharath instructed. Guru Arthe, they are like Guru. Arthe, for their pleasure. Guru Arthe Tyakta Rajyo. He gave up his kingdom. And Vyacharat Anuvanam, wandered like a villager, like a forest dweller from forest to forest. Padma Padbhyam Priyayam, on his soft lotus feet without a paduka. And Pani Sparsha Kshamabhyam, so much so that Mother Sita couldn't tolerate and she would keep her palm so that the lotus of the Lord's feet can step on the lotus of her palm. Pani Sparsha Kshamabhyam, Mrijita Patharijo Yo Harindranujabhyam. And this same Lord, who was being protected by Mother Sita, now had to set out to protect her. Is everyone understanding? It is quite a heart-wrenching story because one wife, that is Kaikeyi, she asks for a thing and the husband Dasharath loses his life. And now in the next generation, the wife Sita asks for a thing, the golden deer. And then she loses her independence. And the husband Sri Ram has to go searching. Mrijita Patharujo Yo Harindranujabhyam, taking help of Sugriva on one side, Lakshman on the other, Hanuman on the other. Vairupya Shurpanakya Priya Viraharusha Ropito Bhruvijrimba. The Lord in separation from his wife was hitting the floor and crying. And the demigods were looking from the top and offering flowers of prayers and tears that, my Lord, we have always seen you with Lakshmi, Narayana and Lakshmi, Sita and Ram, Radha and Krishna together. This is the first time we are seeing the Lord is crying in separation from his beloved. And the demigods started stepping down as monkeys. 60 billion monkeys coming down only to help Sri Ram. Sri Ram, who helps monkeys like us cross the ocean of birth and death, is asking for help to cross the ocean himself with the help of monkeys. Na janma nunam mahatana saubhagam, na vak, na buddhi, na akriti tosha heto, tayya visrishthan, apino vanaukasas chakara sakhe bata lakshmanakraja. Hanumanji says that how much can I glorify the heart of the Lord? Na janma nunam. When Hanuman was asked, what was your qualification to be close to Ram? Hanuman says, na janma nunam. I had no aristocratic birth. I'm a vanara. I'm a monkey. Na janma nunam. Mahatana saubhagam. I have not performed any yajnas from past life. Na vak. Hanuman in humility is saying, I don't even know to speak. He is the greatest Pandit. Atulita baladhamam hema shailabadeham danujavana krishanam jnani namagraganyam sakala guna nidhanam vanaranam adhisham raghupati priya bhaktam vatajatam namami. The king among poets, the king among scholars, the king among devotees, the son of the wind god and the dearest associate of Sri Ram, who set his body on fire and performed arati. We perform arati with wicks. And when it is on the lamp, we are not even able to hold the lamp because of the fire. Many times the arati goes, we can't even hold. So you put it on a plate and you take it around. You see? And then devotees put dakshina on the plate in the temples. We are not even able to carry the lamp which has the wick. And Hanuman's tail is on fire. What to do? He had two options. Either extinguish or yukta vairagya sa uchyate. Or use that fire in the service of the Lord. Rupa Goswami Pad has said, Prapanchikataya buddhya hari sambandhi vastuna mukshu bhi parityago vairagyam phalgu kathyate. That which is not connected to Krishna, to give it up is proper. That which is connected to Krishna, to use it is proper. But if there is something that could be used and you give it up, that is not renunciation. So Hanuman is saying this fire could be used in the service of the Lord. Why should I extinguish it? Yes, I may burn for a while, but that's the life of a devotee. Life of a devotee is like candle. You burn, but you give light around. So he took the tail and he said, Dhyayan suvam stasya yashastasya Vande Guru Shri Vande Rama Shri Charanarvindam. And the whole Lanka was burning. Look at, has anybody performed arati like this? That smoke was seen from where Sri Ram was. So the point is, Priya Viraha Rusha Ropito Bhru Vijrimba Trastabdir Baddhasetu Khaladava Dahano Kosalendo Vatannaha. The king of Kosal Naresh, that is Kosal Rajya, that is Sri Ramachandra, he crossed the ocean by making a stone bridge. Actually, initially our Bhagavatam describes that the ocean did not give way. Sri Ramachandra was sitting and meditating and the ocean did not give way. 3 days and 3 nights passed. And then finally Sri Ramachandra started lifting his eyebrows. Bhagavatam describes, Bhru Vijrimba, his eyebrows started dancing in anger. And immediately it is described the surface of the ocean started trembling. I cannot even look at this and make it tremble. Can anyone do it? Just look and make it tremble. The kids may do this, see. I'll show you. They are making plans, sinister plans. But Sri Ramachandra, when he looked at the ocean started trembling in helplessness. And Varun Dev came out and he said, my Lord, please forgive me. Please forgive me. Sri Ramachandra said, what have you been doing for 3 days? Varuna said, my Lord, you took a form which is human-like, and for human beings I don't give way. Now suddenly you switched your role and you became God. Now it takes some time to switch characters. So Sri Ramachandra said, because of your audacity, I will make sure that my feet doesn't touch your surface. I will make a surface of stone and climb on it. Varuna said, my Lord, in whatever way I can serve you, I am happy. Ramachandra kripalu bhaja mana harana bhava bhaya darunam Nava kanja lochana kanja mukha kara kanja pada kanjarunam. This katha of Sri Ramachandra is so unlimited that when Valmiki Muni was empowered by Brahma and said, you please write the Ramayana, Valmiki Muni said, what is the value of what I am going to write? Who will read? What is the value? Any human being writing. Brahma said at that time, please everyone chant, Yavat tishthanti girayah Saritascha mahitale Tavat Rama katha kirtim Tvatkrita prachalishyati. O Valmiki, Yavat tishthanti girayah Saritascha mahitale. Till the time the famous holy rivers of Ganga, Yamuna, Saraswati, Narmada, Sindhu, Kaveri flow on Mother Earth. And till the time the great hills like the Himalayas and Govardhan exist on Mother Earth. Yavat tishthanti girayah. Till the time the mountains and Sarita, the rivers flow. Tavat, till that day. Rama katha kirtim tvatkrita prachalishyati. I give you this benediction. Your Adhikrit Valmiki Ramayana will be sung till the time the rivers and the mountains exist on Mother Earth. So why I went and accidentally slipped into Ramkatha is because Vedanta Desikar, that's correct. Vedanta Desikar, he writes that the Srivatsa mark on the chest is protected by Four, Shankha Chakra Gada Padma, the four hands of the Lord. But the Lord himself is protected only by two, Jai and Vijay. So now the question was, we said Brahmaji has a respiratory problem. You heard that?
Yes.
Brahmaji in the lotus, which is coming from the whirlpool of the navel, is having tough time breathing. Why? Vedanta Desikar says, because that lotus is having confusion. The lotus looks at the Sudarshan Chakra and thinks it is the sun and opens up. So Brahma gets some breathing time. But immediately that lotus looks at the conch shell and thinks it's the moon. So now the time for lotus to close. So the lotus closes. Then Brahma is suffocating. Then the lotus again looks at the chakra and thinks it is the sun and opens up. Again breathing, time for Brahma. Then that lotus looks at the conch shell and thinks it's the moon and the lotus closes at the moon. So when the lotus shrinks, Brahma can't breathe. And because this is constantly happening, because the lotus is eternal, the Shankha Chakra are eternal, Mahavishnu is eternal, although Brahma has 311 trillion 40 billion years, all his life is going and doing Kapal Bharati Pranayam is going on. He's not doing Brahmari, he's doing Brahmi. Because Brahma is doing Brahmi with all his four heads. Vedanta Desikar says, this is the astonishing form of the Supreme Lord. Where from the head to the toe, there is so much beauty. Let's do a quick recap. What is the crown like? What is the feet like? What is the navel like? What is the face like? Eyes, eyebrows, hair, chest, beauty. Splitting through that is the, which is like the multicolored beads. Thighs are like, the toenails are like, and the lines are like. Brahma on the navel is breathing in and out because the lotus is opening and closing, looking at the sun, which is the chakra. The moon, which is the chakra. And at the same time, it is described in the chest, the position of Lakshmi Devi is represented by the golden hair of Srivatsamar, and that is protected by the closet, chest, and to protect our four gods, while the Lord is protected by Gaurav Premanande. How beautiful. Vedanta Desikar says this is the external feature of the Lord. He said, now what do I speak of the heart? He says Mahavishnu is unparalleled because Shanta Akaram Bhujana Shayanam. Look at the contradiction here. Shanta Akaram. Akar, Akriti, Shanta. Namaha Shantaya Ghoraya Mudhaya Gunadharmine Nirvisheshaya Samyaya Namo Jnana Ghanaya Cha. Gajendra has said this, that the Lord appears sometimes Shanta, sometimes Ghora, sometimes Mudha. Give me an example of Shanta, forms of the Lord which are very peaceful. Like you look at the Lord and you feel joy, like so much peace. Yes. Jagannath, Krishna, Ramachandra, Ranganatha, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Mahavishnu. Yes. Give me examples of Ugra. Narasimha, Parshuram, Varaha, Kalki. More than Varaha, Kalki. Sometimes when he's dragging the city into the ocean, yes. Or he's trying to split Yamuna into tributaries, then yes. But most of the times very pleasing. Give me examples when the Lord comes in a form which apparently looks Mudha. Varaha, Kurma, Matsya. That's correct. Where it seems, he is not, but it seems like Tamoguni. Right? So, Rishabdev is Jnana Ghanayacha. He is the abode of Sattva Gun because he's giving knowledge. So in this way we can see the Lord appears in so many ways. So in the Vishnu Sahasranam he is called as Shantakaram, which means externally the Lord is very pleasing. And at the same time his heart is also very pleasing. Like when Brahma kicked, he didn't get angry. His Holiness Radhanath Maharaj, fabulous class, it's a must-hear class. 2005 South India Yatra, please hear that whole series, it is phenomenal. So there Maharaj was asked this question, because Maharaj was speaking about Tirupati. And the story starts with how Brighu is going to search whether it's Brahma, Vishnu or Shiva. So Maharaj was asked about this question, why did Brahmaji and Lord Shiva, being the greatest demigods, react in the way they did? And Maharaj said, because they wanted Bhrigu to go to Vishnu. If they would have tolerated, Bhrigu would have gone and announced that they are the Supreme Lord. So they externally showed anger as service so that Bhrigu thinks they are not God and he will proceed towards Vishnu. It was beautiful. I had never seen that perspective in the story. So, in the Vishnu Sahasranam it's described Shanta Karam, and the next term is Bhujaga Shayanam. What does Bhujaga Shayanam mean? He sleeps on the serpent. Bhujaga. Bhujaga. He who moves. Uraga or Bhujaga. These are names for the snake. That which moves on the hand. Or that which moves on the chest. Urasi. So Bhujaga or Bhujanga, you can see, is a snake. So Bhujaga Shayanam. The Lord has a bed. What type of bed does he have? Memory foam, Tempur-Pedic, reclining mattress. His mattress is called Anantashesh. So why in the Vishnu Sahasranam it says Shantakaram and Bhujaka Shayanam? It says that he's pleasing and he sleeps on the ocean, on the snake bed. It's to say that in our room, if we have, let's say, one mosquito, it disturbs our sleep. It can disturb our peace actually. If you have a cockroach in the room, what happens? All the kids, I have even seen adults jump. I was in one home and the male was running. The Prabhuji, I said, what happened? He said, cockroach. And that Mataji was exact opposite. She said, what you're fearing, as if it is a rat. He said, if it was a rat, I would have died. Bhaktivinoda Thakur writes a song, Keshava Tuva Jagata Vichitra. Your world is fascinating. So, we get to see many colors of this world like that. So imagine if you have like a cockroach in the room, what happens? A lizard in the room. Rat in the room.
Ecstasy.
Snake in the room. No, it's too much, right? Look at the Lord. He's sleeping on the bed of serpents and still is Shantakaram, showing us that only those devotees who have that level of tolerance, whose bhakti is still peaceful even when they are on the bed of snakes, of circumstances, of calamities, they are still peaceful, remembering the Lord. Only those people can inherit Vaikuntha. Only those who can sleep on the serpent bed of calamity and still be Shantakaram. This is why in the Vishnu Sahasranam Shantakaram, then Bhujaka Shayanam. Otherwise there is no connection between being peaceful and having a snake bed. Right? Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur in the second canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, he writes that Mahavishnu sleeps on the serpent bed only for one purpose. Srila Chakravarti Pad writes. He says that all of us are sleeping on the snake bed of sense gratification. And we need somebody like us to meditate on. It takes a thorn to remove another thorn. Chakravarti Pad writes, the Lord in no feature sleeps on a serpent bed except Mahavishnu. Because he is kind to the living entity. Saying that you are also sleeping on the serpent bed of sense gratification. You think of me because we are of the same caste. We are both sleeping on the same surface. So those who are sleeping on the snake bed of sense gratification, if they remember the Lord who sleeps on the snake bed of Anantashesh, then our desire to be bitten by that snake of sense gratificatory desire will go away. So this is why his heart is also so sweet. So in my life, I have never, ever done one exclusive class on Mahavishnu. Because typically what happens, once we come to ISKCON, we speak about Mahavishnu and then we will say he has 60 qualities and then Krishna has 4 more and then we come to Krishna. But this is the first time in my life where after speaking about 64 qualities of Krishna, I'm saying now let's talk about the 60 qualities filled Mahavishnu. Shriman Narayana, Narayana, Narayana. Oh Lakshmi Narayana, Narayana, Narayana. Lakshmi Narayana, This name Narayana, we are chanting the names of Krishna. Is it okay to glorify Narayana like this? Absolutely okay. Why? Because you can see in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Mahavishnu or Mahaprabhu, who's Mahavishnu, when he came to the house of Srivas Thakur, and it was the time of Srivas Thakur's father's Shraddha ceremony. Srivas Thakur had asked Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, what is that mantra that I should chant to liberate my father? And Mahavishnu said, Vishnu Sahasranam. Our Mahaprabhu. Mahaprabhu in Chaitanya Charitamrita, you can see, in the section of Srivas Thakur's father's Shraddha ceremony, Mahaprabhu had said, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had said, you should chant the Brihad Sahasranam or the Vishnu Sahasranam. So anytime, please remember, if you have your fathers or mothers or any Shraddha, following this instruction of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, you can chant the Vishnu Sahasranam. Because Mahaprabhu instructed that to Srivas Thakur. So in this way, we offer our obeisances at the lotus feet of Narayana, the Supreme Lord, whose name protected Ajamil. And Srila Jiva Goswami, this is the last point of the day. Srila Jiva Goswami has written a book on Sanskrit grammar. It is called Sri Harinamamrita Vyakaranam. There, the first sutra that he gives, he says that all the syllables of Sanskrit grammar and musical notes, it is believed they come from the Damru of Shankar Bhagavan. Therefore, they are called Maheshwara Sutra. That which comes from Mahesh, Lord Shiva. But Srila Jiva Goswami says, in my humble opinion, it comes from Narayana. The sutra is, please repeat, Narayanat, Udbhutoyam, Varnakramaha. All the Varnakrama, all the syllables, they come from Narayana. So in that commentary, Srila Jiva Goswami has written some meanings of the word Narayana. So with that, I would like to conclude the class. What is the meaning of the word Narayana? Anybody? Yes, Prabhu. Beautiful. The resting place for all the jivas. Srila Jiva Goswami Pad says, one jiva is called Nara. What is he called?
Nara.
And the plural usage of all the jivas is called Nar. What is it called?
Nar.
And the word Ayana means resting place. So the resting place for all the living beings is Nara plus Ayana, Narayana. That's one meaning. Another meaning?
Who is spread everywhere, right? Narayana.
That is Vishnu. So, Vyapnoti, he who is present everywhere. That is, but Vishnu and Narayana same meaning. So one more meaning of the word Narayana is, the word Nara means the sweat. When Mahavishnu is creating, there's perspiration that comes through his body. And Ayana means to rest. So he who is resting on the ocean of his own perspiration is called Narayana. But Srila Jiva Goswami says, the meaning that is very dear to me, he says, to his heart. What is that? He says, Ayana means to take shelter, correct? And Nara means living beings in plural usage. So we said those who take shelter, that he who is the resting place for all living beings is Narayana. But Srila Jiva Goswami flips it backward. He said, Nara refers to Brajbasis. And Ayana means to take shelter. Narayana is the name of that Krishna who comes as a young boy taking shelter of all the Brajbasis. He goes to his mother when he is hungry. He goes to his friends when he has to play. So in this way, he who is taking shelter of the human-like Brajbasis and performs beautiful Krishna Leela is Narayana. Gaura Premanande! Srila Prabhupada ki! Gaura Premanande! Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. So generally we have classes on, typically we have classes on what are some lessons we can learn, practical application, this and that. But sometimes you need classes where you just hear about the form of the Lord. Roop Dhyan. Enough of, corporatizing the Leelas and saying, this is what we learn, this is what we learn. Yes, that's an aspect. But sometimes it's just pleasing to the heart to hear about the Lord and just let go, to be absorbed for an hour. Any comments, any questions, anybody? Either virtually or in person?
I'm just checking for one.
Sure.
There is a mic here. Oops.
Jai Vijay, any questions? Wait, bro.
I don't have a question, bro. Just an observation.
Yeah.
In the last 3 classes, I've been hearing the realization, like for example, you quoted Ramayana Maharaj's example of Brahma and Shiva sent Brahma to Mahavishnu. Like that, see in math and all these things, you have different logic to solve a problem.
Yeah.
Same way this, our acharyas give unbelievable logics
Yes.
for every thing that we can't even imagine.
Absolutely.
Like these logics exist.
Absolutely.
And so I was just getting amazed by how different logics are applied on these things. Amazing.
Thank you, bro. Didn't you perform the Prabhupada Puja this month?
Yes, bro.
I saw you online.
Rathambalas, we are ready with the question.
Yes, yes, bro.
Good.
Okay.
Prabhuji, can you hear us?
Yes,
Yes.
Mataji.
Prabhuji, I just wanted to say thank you. I am always the one who always has questions, but today, like as you said, right, like sometimes you don't need the practical application. Your love for Krishna is so infectious that when we hear it from your mouth, like from your nectar, like the kind of nectar that you give, like the love for Krishna and Vishnu just multifold. So, Tanvat Pranam to you, and I hope to see you in person someday very soon.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Just like beauty lies in the eye of the beholder, nectar lies in the ear of the listener. So thank you. Because I have 1 mouth, you have 2 ears. So
Any questions, anyone? No questions we have.
no questions. Okay. So any questions in town here? Yes, Krishna Murli Prabhu. Meanings of Vishnu. Ah. How much time do we have?
No time.
5 minutes, can I take?
Yes, yes.
I hope I'm not tossing on the hunger factor of the heart. Okay. So please give me a couple of minutes and I'll try to elaborate that. In Sanskrit, the word Vishnu, and actually Srila Jiva Goswami has defined this. Srila Jiva Goswami says, just like our Damodar Prasad Prabhu mentioned in relation to the name Narayana, Srila Jiva Goswami says, Vyapnoti, he who's present everywhere, and Vishate, he who enters. So it's quite fascinating. It's quite fascinating that in this world, when someone creates something, yeah. So what I was mentioning is, it's quite fascinating. In this world, when someone creates something, they stay away, and their creation is somewhere. Like for example, if I create this watch, I'm outside this watch. But Vishnu is quite a fascinating creator, where he creates and enters his own creation. He's the only personality who does it. Srila Jiva Goswami writes. Like I may create this harmonium, I may. I hardly can play it, I'll forget about making it. But still I'm outside. And I can never enter it, right? But Vishnu, Vyapnoti, he's present everywhere, and Vishate, he always enters his own creation. That is Vishnu. Now, having said that, it is said that this name Vishnu is also the name for Krishna. This is why there's an eternal controversy of whether it's Vrindaye, Tulasi Devyai, Priyaye, Keshavasya cha, Vishnu Bhakti Pradedevi or Krishna Bhakti Pradedevi. And some devotees, just to be safe, they do this. Vrindaye, Tulasi Devyai, Priyaye, Keshavasya cha, Vishnu Bhakti Pradedevi, first time, Vrindaye, Tulasi Devyai, Priyaye, Keshavasya, Krishna Bhakti Pradedevi, second time. And then just to sandwich it again, Vrindaye, Tulasi Devyai, Priyaye, Vishnu Bhakti. So Vishnu, Krishna, Vishnu. So, you know. And if you're Nrihari Prabhu, then you will sing it as well. Vrindaye Tulasi Devyai Priyaye Keshavasya cha Vishnu Bhakti Pradedevi Satyavate Namo Namah. The first time I heard it, I said, wait a minute, that is like Choti Choti Gaiya. Choto Somero Madanako. Prabhuji sings with so much sweetness and sincerity. So this name Vishnu has been used in so many other places also for Krishna. So like the original text says Vishnu Bhakti Pratadevi. That's how Vyasadeva has given it. That's one. Secondly, there's a verse in the Padma Puran which says, as much as Krishna is dear to Radharani, so much even Radha Kund is dear to Krishna. So there, Yatha Radha Priya Vishnu, Tasya Kundam Priyam Tatha. Now, Radha and Krishna should be a pair, and Lakshmi and Vishnu. But the verse is Yatha Radha Priya Vishnu, Tasya Kundam Priyam Tatha, Sarva Gopeshu Saiveka Vishnu Atyanta Vallabha. The word Vishnu comes twice in the same verse for Krishna. Another example is Vikriditam Vrajavadhubiridam cha Vishnu. In 10th canto, Shukdev Goswami says this verse, Vikriditam Vrajavadhubiridam cha Vishnu Shraddhanvito no Shunaya atha varnayetya bhaktim param bhagavati pratyalabhyakamam ridrogam ashu apahinoti achirena dhiraha. There he talks about Krishna's dancing. And he says, Vikriditam, this dancing of Krishna, Vrajavadhu Biridam cha Vishnu. Now actually if you think Vishnu doesn't dance, so the one who is dancing and who is called as Vishnu is actually Krishna. So Krishna is called Vishnu. Now you may say, well, you define Vishnu as someone who enters and he who is present everywhere. So how is he Vishnu? Oh, it's because in Vrindavan, Krishna creates a problem and enters to solve it. Vishate, he who enters, he enters all homes. And because he's stealing butter, entering all homes, he's Vyapnoti, he's present everywhere. Who is more Vishnu? Is it Vishnu or Krishna? It's actually Krishna because in the heart of the Brajvasis, Vishnu is not existing. It's Krishna. So Krishna is more Vyapnoti than even Vishnu. Because in the heart of the Brajvasis like Mother Yashoda and Nanda Baba, it's Krishna and not Vishnu. So in this way, the word Vishnu means he who's all-pervading and he who enters his own creation. But at the same time, that is also with Praman used for Krishna as well. And to complete the loop, in Shastra, it is Vishnu Bhakti Pratadevi. Yes, Braja Kripa Prabhu. Please don't ask me a tough question. Very technical person. So I'm scared of Prabhuji's questions.
So can you elaborate on the darshan? Vishnu Divan, you mentioned that at least we should have one darshan. That's the success criteria. How exactly, and when is it what you consider?
It is described that first of all, is everyone hearing the question? Could everyone hear the question?
Repeat.
Okay, so Braj Kripa Prabhu is asking this question that Janama Safalatar Krishna Darshana Jar Bhagya Hui Ache Ekbar. Bhaktivinoda Thakur says that success category or success criteria is to have darshan of Krishna. So how does that darshan take place? And at what stage of devotion does that darshan take place is the question. So our acharyas describe that first of all, darshan takes place in the heart. That's step one. First darshan will happen in the heart. And you can see so many praman for that. Like for example, in the Damodarashtakam you can see Varam Deva Moksham Na Mokshavadim Va Nachanyam Grineham Vareshadapiha Idam Deva Purnatha Gopala Balam Sada Me Manasya Virastham Kimanye. My Lord, Varam Deva Moksham Na Mokshavadim Va Nachanyam Vrineham Vareshadapiha. Oh my dear Lord, I don't ask you for anything. I don't want to ask you anything. Without me asking and doing bhajan, you're giving me so much. But if there's one thing I want to ask you, the only thing I will ask you, Idam te vapuhu, this form of your, my Lord, Natha Gopala Balam, as a baby with Mother Yashoda, Sada me manasi avir. Avir means avirbhav, appear. May this form appear in my heart. Sada me manasyarir astham kim anyay. If I have that, what else will I ask for? Anyay astham kim. So let it appear in my heart. When you want something, you have to say it more than once. So in the next verse he says, Idam te mukham bojam atyanta nile Vritam kuntalai snigdha raktaishcha gopya muhushchumbitam bimba raktadharam me manasya virastham alam lakshyalabhe. Satyavrat Rishi says, so Krishna is asking, you want darshan in the heart? Satyavrat Rishi says, yes. Krishna says, how should I look? What should my form be? Krishna is asking, so Satyavrat Rishi says, idam te mukham bhojam. It should be Krishna with the same face, lotus face. Atyanta nile vritam kuntalai, and the hair should be covered with locks of soft black hair. And who should be next to you? Mother Yashoda kissing you on both cheeks. Idam te mukham bhojam atyanta nile vritam kuntalai snigdha. Snigdha means out of affection. Raktaishcha gopya. Your cheek should have become reddish, oh baby Gopal, because of the kisses of Mother Yashoda. How many times? Muhushchumbitam bimba raktadharam me. And this form of yours, my Lord, being kissed by Mother Yashoda again and again on both cheeks. Sada me manasyavir astham ki manye. If I have this, then I don't need anything else. Let this form appear in my heart. Twice he says, let it appear in my heart. Then you can see in Brahma Samhita, Premanjana Churita Bhakti Vilochanena Santa Sadaiva Hridayeshu Vilokayanti. Sadhus have darshan first. Dhruva Maharaj first had darshan in the heart. Bhakti muhu pravahatam tvai me prasango bhuyadananta mahatam amalashayanam yenonja solbanamuruvyasanam bhavabdhim neshe bhavad gunakatham panamatta. My Lord, now that I have seen you in my heart, I don't want anything else. Please appear before me. And Vishnu said, you open your eyes, I am in front of you. So first heart has darshan. And then when the person opens his eyes, he is not able to see that same form. Then there is glani, there is pida, there is vyatha, there is pain. And Chaitanya Charitamrita describes this pain is Visha Amrita Milan, is the meeting of nectar and poison. The nectar is when he closes his eyes, the devotee, he sees darshan of Krishna. But the poison is when he opens his eyes, he can see that Lord around. And Kaviraj Goswami gives an example for this. He says it is like drinking hot sugarcane juice. How is hot sugarcane juice? Kaviraj Goswami says, it is so sweet that you feel like drinking. But it is so hot that you can't drink. It is sweet sugarcane, you can't spit it out. But it is so hot you can't drink it. But you want it. Our Kaviraj Goswami has experienced and is giving an example. So initially the living entity, the Acharya, he is having darshan of Krishna. And he is having darshan of Krishna in the heart. Kadachit kalindi tata vipina sangeeta karaho. He sees darshan of Krishna in the heart. And then when Sripad Adi Shankaracharya opens his eyes, he can see that Krishna. Therefore, Jagannatha Swami Nayana Pathagami Bhavatu me. My Lord, that you have appeared in my heart, why don't you come in front of my eyes? Bilva Mangal Thakur is netrahin, without eyes. So he says, Hey Deva, oh Krishna, Hey Daita, Bhuvanaika Bandho, Hey Krishna, Hey Chapala, Hey Karunaika Sindho, Hey Nath, Hey Ramana, Ha Nayanabhirama. He's calling out to Krishna and then he opens his eyes and he says he can see that Krishna. Ha ha kadanu bhavitasi padam drishorme. When oh when will you appear in the pathway of my eyes? So this is the second stage. First stage is darshan here. Second stage is where now he's not able to see ahead and there is pain. Rupa Goswami Pad has also said this. Sa Chaitanya kim me punarapi drishor yasyati padam. When oh when will that Mahaprabhu who is giving darshan in the heart appear before my eyes? So this is the second stage. And then because of the fire of separation, the person cannot live. He calls out to Krishna. It's quite fascinating, dear devotee. I hope I'm not taking too much of your time. Can I speak a little more? So the Acharya then writes that to extinguish the forest fire on the heart, please everyone chant. Sharad Jyotsna Sindho Avakalanaya Jata Yamuna Brahmadhavanyosmin Hari Virahata Parnava Iva Nimagno Murchala Payasi Nivasan Ratri Mahila Prabhata Prapta Swai Avatu Sashachi Sunu Ihanaha. Kaviraj Goswami describes Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's burning in this state, where he is having darshan in the heart, but he is not able to see outside. And when he is able to see outside, as soon as he goes close, the darshan is gone. So what is happening? He jumps into the ocean thinking that it is Yamuna. Kaviraj Goswami says, this is not Brahm. Brahm means illusion. It is Vibhrama. Vibhrama means madness of love. Kaviraj Goswami says, when someone burns their finger, what's the first thing we will tell them? Put it under cold water or ice, right? What when the whole body is burning? You will tell them to jump into a river or a pond. What if the heart, soul, super soul, the body, everything is burning in separation? You have to jump into an ocean. Hari Viraha Tapa Arnava Iva. Kaviraj Goswami describes Mahaprabhu's body was a forest fire in separation from Krishna, and no water of this world will pacify, so he jumped into the ocean to pacify. So this is the next stage. And after that comes a stage where the person can see the Leela with his eyes open and with his eyes closed. What is that state? Please everyone chant. Chapan danda ratri dine Jane na Radha Govinda bine Chapan danda ratri dine Jane na Radha Govinda bine Chari dandi shuthi thake Swapne Radha Govinda dekhe. That is the stage of Srila Raghunath Das Goswami, where it is described, Chappan danda ratri dine janena Radha Govinda bine. 22.5 hours he would have his eyes open and he would only see Radha Krishna. And then 1.5 hours, Chari dandi shuti thake. He would go to sleep, Swapne Radha Govinda dekhe. And sleep also he would see. So much so that when there is a tiger next to him, Radharani comes. Or when there's heat, Radharani comes, and tiger next, Krishna is coming to protect. Not that devotee is going to have darshan, the Lord comes to take darshan of the devotee. So in this way, progressively, it is seen. And at what level this darshan takes place? It is only at the level of bhava bhakti, according to Madhurya Kadambini. Srila Vishnu Chakravarti. For more details, you can enroll to Amritananda Prabhu's ongoing Madhurya Kadambini series. Where Prabhuji will heal. He will heal your heart and soul, both. Is that okay, Prabhu? That's the systematic. Our acharyas have given everything. Everything. Answers to all questions, subtle and gross, are given. And it's all experiential. As we go on this path, performing bhajan, initially Shastra is used to answer questions. Then as one is doing bhajan and going ahead, experience, realization will be the answer, and to cross-check you can see in Shastra. Experience becomes first. The person will answer out of experience and then look at the words and say, this is cross-verifying the experience, not the other way. Pratyaksha avagamam dharmyam susukham kartam. Today we had verses from Bhagavad Gita also, Chaitanya Charitamrita also, Vishnu Sahasranam, Vedanta Desikar, Ramayana, Kalidas, Suprabhatam. All of you are so sweet, coming from different devotional inclinations, that by your presence, all of this is coming out. Gaur Premanande! So now we will do 5 minutes of Kirtan and then we'll have prasad.
More also.
More?
Prasad will keep happening. You can take.
Chalo, we'll do 5 minutes Kirtan and then we can have prasad. So all of us, all the devotees can have prasad. 15 minutes. ठीक है. Chalo, we'll do stand-up Kirtan because we've been sitting for some time. Oakland Yatra ki jai, Seattle Yatra ki jai, Gaur Premanande.
No.
नहीं है नहीं. इनका inclinations can be positively doubted. नहीं तो क्लास में बजाते हो. उनको कीर्तन में नहीं दिया तो.
Still going to broadcast? I can lift it.
एक remote mic है prabhu, I can give it to you. One remote mic is there. I have to charge it first.
गोविंद जय जय गोपाल जय जय गोविंद जय गोविंद जय जय गोपाल जय जय गोविंद जय गोपाल जय जय राधा रमण गोविंद जय
Hare
Krishna,
Chaitanya Sundar Prabhu's extended home ki